Hey everybody, welcome back to Gideon Stuff. Today we're taking a look at this big bruiser of a knife here. This is the Twosun TS421. It's been a long time since I've had Twosun on the channel. Or it's been a long time since well actually no, it hasn't been that long. I reviewed a Twosun flashlight, pry bar, and knife within the last 6 months. So, I don't know, it just feels a while. Maybe it's because I gave all those knives away. They were donated, all those items were donated to the channel. I purchased this one myself. I don't know why, really. I saw it and I was like, oh, that kind of looks interesting. And I kind of wanted to review a budgety Twosun. Most of the Twosuns I take a look at are like their titanium frame lock versions. So I wanted to give a G10 liner lock a try. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and get right into this review with our blade length measurement. If we're measuring just the sharpened edge, we're coming in at pretty much 3.5 inches exactly. If we're going all the way back here, we're actually just a hair over 4 inches. If we go up to the closest spot on the scale, it's like 3.75. So definitely a large knife, right? And a very broad knife too. Let's actually measure that. Yeah, we're like 1.5 inches, almost 1.5 inches wide. Pretty bulky, beefy guy. Let's get our size comparisons going on. There's our 2D2. And there's our Rat 1. Let's go down here. So yeah, it's a it's a big old knife, right? There's no getting around that. It's a big boy. Next up, let's get our Civivis. Here is the Elementum. Oh, look at that cute tiny little guy. And here's the Praxis, which also looks kind of cute and tiny compared to this behemoth. Let's go ahead and bring out our USA made comparisons. That's going to be our PM2 and our Bug Out. There we go. And to close this off, let's compare it against a couple of Twosuns that I've still got lying around. This is the Twosun TS49. In my mind, this is kind of the classic Twosun. I don't know why, but I think this was the first Twosun I was aware of. This was the first one I wanted. I think it was the first one I got. And here's a budget version. This is the Dreadnought. So there we go. Alrighty. What are we looking at for our materials on this whale of a knife? Well, D2 blade with a stonewash. Very nice stonewash, I might add. That's not bad looking. And G10 scales with countersunk steel liners and a steel pocket clip. This thing is running on bearings. Let's go ahead and go to the cutting footage. Hey guys, we're talking about the Twosun TS421. This is the same day I did the cutting for the Artisan Cutlery Sea Snake. Storm kind of blew over, so we're back at it. This is a pretty interesting knife in some ways. It didn't take me very long to carry and use this knife to figure out what I felt about it. It's fine. That sounds more negative than I mean. It's a good knife. Let's talk about it. So, the action. Access to the lock bar is pretty difficult. The reverse flick, you can do, but it feels a little bit awkward on this hole for me. But it's still doable, and the detent is tuned well. Very drop shutty, big blade. The thumb flick, however, that's where it's at. The thumb flick on this is excellent. Excellent. Really like that. So the action, pretty dang nice. Let's go ahead and talk about the ergonomics. Kind of a weird looking handle, right? Kind of a weird looking handle. It works though. It's comfortable. I mean, I wouldn't say it's hand melting, but it's comfortable. You got this big choil you can choke up into, get some detail work done. It works. This is a good handle. Fairly thick, flat scales though. Recessed liners, which I like. But yeah, there it is. The pocket clip does not bother me in hand too much. I can feel it, but it's not painful, if that makes sense. How's it carry? This is a big knife, right? This is a chonker, but it goes in the pocket pretty nicely. You get your hand down in there and around. Now the clip, I hate this clip, and this is the clip that Twosun uses on everything. I have bent this clip. It's gotten caught on things and bent out. Very weak metal. I've bent it back, but you can hear it's not perfect. Is that a huge deal? No, it still works in out of the pocket. Still got enough retention, but that just kind of annoys me. All right. Let's do some cutting. So we have a big flat ground sheep's foot blade of D2 steel. Go ahead. And yes, being a sheep's foot blade, it does very, very well. Utility cuts, it's easy to get to that tip. Now, as for the blade, as for its cutting or slicing performance, it's a little bit robust behind the edge. However, it does have a pretty high flat grind. It's a broad blade. It slices really, really well. This is kind of a mega slicer, in my opinion. I'm not even sure if that's a real word, but you know what? I used it. It's a word now. Where the heck did I put the pool noodle? We'll find that in just a second. Let's go ahead and do some rope. Not a problem. Woo! Oh, dang. That felt great. Holy smokes. Very, very cool. And now I'm going to go find that pool noodle. Ta-da! All right, let's see what we got here. Okay. All right, whoa. Yeah, we were able to get really nice and thin right there. Very, very nice. Good geometry on this. Knives like this typically strike a pretty good balance between robustness and slicing capability, and I like that a lot. There is something to be said for big, broad blades like this. They're very, very useful. I know a lot of people don't really like them because they're a little bit harder to carry, but I really like them. They perform very, very well. So, yeah, there we go. Alrighty, let's get back to the table. There we go. Alrighty, what am I liking and not liking about this knife? Number one, this is a different looking knife. I think the looks are going to be very polarizing to people. I will say personally, I don't think this is the most attractive knife ever, but I can appreciate that it looks different, right? It definitely looks different. This is a R-I-H-E design, Rye design, I think. I'm not sure. Rye-he. If anyone knows, tell me in the comments below. He's been doing a lot of stuff with Twosun recently, and a lot of it seems pretty interesting. While we're zoomed in here, the stonewash on this blade is excellent. Twosun does a great stonewash. They need to do more stonewashes. Very, very cool. I also like that Twosun puts the model number on their knives now. If you're not going to give them a name, at least put the model number on the knife so you remember what it is, right? Let's just keep talking about this blade. I do like this blade a lot. It's a big, I would call this a sheep's foot. This is a very large sheep's foot cleavery blade. Not a full flat grind, but we do have a high flat grind. It comes down to a decent edge. It's decently thin, but it's still robust, and I think that's a good balance. The swedges here, all different grind lines, I think look really, really cool. The hole here is chamfered nicely. Yeah, the whole thing's just done pretty well. The blade itself performs excellently, as you guys saw. This is a heck of a slicer. This is not a precision knife, obviously. This is a knife that is made to, you know, be more heavy duty, I guess. I was gonna say hard use, maybe more heavy duty is a better term. Let's move on down to the handle here. The G10 is nice. I like this G10. We've got a good texture here. We're rounded over on all the corners nicely. We have a full backspacer pretty much, and it's almost seamless between that backspacer and the scales. You can see a little bit up here, but like back here, I mean, I can't even feel anything. It feels really, really cool. I really like that. But yeah, good, grippy. I'm glad they did G10 on this. I hate Twosun's budgety micarta. I dyed this stuff red, but you know, this used to be that caca black, brown, just, yeah, gross, micarta. This G10 is much better. It's pretty nice. Also on the body, T8 hardware. Twosun is really good about that. Their hardware is pretty excellent. Yeah, I like seeing all of that. The pocket clip. This is an okay clip. It is sunk into the scale, which is nice. We'll get back to the clip. It's an okay clip as far as carry goes. Ergonomically, this knife is pretty nice. I do wish there was a little bit of jimping, but I always wish that. I'm not going to really call it a negative. It's a big knife. It's hand-filling. This grip here is very secure, very solid. I can work this way for a long time. I can choke up in this very generous finger choil, which is also an excellent sharpening choil. And I can be just fine here. Yeah, the ergonomics are fine. Not amazing. They're just fine. Alrighty, next thing. Actually, that's it. That's it. Look at my notes here. Oh, no. We didn't talk about the action. The action is very nice. Whew, very heavy blade, nice and drop shutty. Good and centered. It was this way out of the box. Yeah, that thumb flick is excellent. And this thumb hole is a really good shape if you've got gloves on. You know, you can kind of hook yourself in this little corner and roll the knife open. Yeah, I love the thumb flick on this knife. And it makes some pretty cool sounds. Yeah, I like that. Very cool. We do have a collared stop pin, and the stop pin is decently large, so this would be a pretty good, you know, heavy-duty knife, and yeah, it is collared, so I like seeing that. Reverse flick, you can do it, right? And the more you practice, the better you'll get. And if you're just a good reverse flicker, you know, you'll enjoy it. But the reverse flick to me does feel a little bit more awkward than the thumb flick. However, the action is really good. All right, let's move on to some of the things I don't like. And the first thing I don't like is that pocket clip. This is a terrible clip. It's kind of ugly, but even more than that, it's made out of very weak metal. Like 2 days after getting this, I bent the clip out. So I bent it back, fixed it up. I think it was a couple days later, it bent out again. And so I had to fix it again. And now, as you can see, it doesn't quite contact all the way. It's close. And when you're in the pocket, it still grabs on fine. But yeah, just these aren't my favorite clips. They're just not that great. Next thing, I do wish the clip was reversible, but it is not. It's a shame. This would have been a great knife for lefties. Access to the lock bar is pretty bad. You can see here, they gave you a little bit, but I don't know. I found that I couldn't really get in there very comfortably. It was always a little bit painful. You can see there, just kind of digging into my thumb. Yeah, I wasn't the biggest fan of that. The lockup was also a little bit early. I didn't have any problems with that though, so I'm not gonna like nitpick it, but it is a little bit early. It stayed in place though, so I guess maybe that's a sign of quality. But yeah, the access to the lock bar is not my favorite thing ever. It's pretty rough. Those are the biggest complaints. So let's go ahead and move on to the final conclusions. Final conclusions. This is a fine knife. I got this for $46. For $46, you know what? It's getting harder and harder to find good knives in that price tier. And this knife is built very well. It's a very, I imagine it'd be a very robust work knife. If you wanted to put it into pretty much any kind of task, I think it would do just fine. The price is right. I think $46, you know, for these countersunk steel liners, the D2, the G10, I think that's an absolutely fine price. The build quality is good. However, I don't think this is a must, right? This knife is good. It's a good knife. And if you like the looks, or you're just interested in it, or you like Rye designs, definitely check it out. It's only $46. It won't set you back too much. But I think there's other knives out there that are a little more exciting than this, that kind of do the same thing this knife does, but maybe a little bit better. One that comes to mind right now is the CJRB Caldera. And I like this one a little bit better because its blade is a little bit broader, and it's fully flat ground. So this thing takes the slicing performance to a whole nother level. Very robust but effective slicer. Yeah, it's a cool knife. If you're interested in it, I can say, yeah, you'll probably like it. If you've never heard of it, do I suggest you running out and purchasing it? No, I really don't. I think there's other things out there that'll get the job done. But yeah, there we go. That is a review of the Twosun TS421. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, leave it a like, comment below, and subscribe. I've been Gideon. I'll see you in the next one. Adios.